Brian Flores, in an interview on Real Sports, says that the Miami Dolphins tried to get him to sign an NDA on his way out, and he refused. And had he done so, he wouldn't be able to speak out against the organization. I'm assuming that most of the time, and I don't think this is Brian Flores, and correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, I don't think this is Brian Flores, when it specific to him.
The Dolphins denied this very strongly.
Yeah, they did deny it. But you had the Dolphins' response, why is Flores making things up? But normally, whenever you part ways with any company, you sign either a non-disparagement or something of those along those lines. To me, whatever he would have signed would have been routine and not something that was only for Brian Flores. At least that's what I thought when I read this headline. I'm thinking, so whenever you part ways with the CEO, you always hear the CEO bashing the company?
No, but here's the thing. Your agreement to leave is negotiated. I'm not going to speak for you guys. I had to reach an agreement with 104.5 The Zone in Nashville. Even though my contract was up, I was negotiating my non-compete, right? And in a negotiation there was give and take. It wasn't finances really, but there were matters. And I signed non-disparagement in that. So that was an important chip on their side in terms of trying to negotiate this non-compete down. So I don't doubt for a second that Brian Flores made less money in negotiating a contract down. So you could say it's standard or whatever, but he's saying I turned down more money to not sign the non-disparagement part of what they wanted me to sign in order to do what I'm doing and say the things that I'm saying. That's completely believable. I don't know why the Dolphins would deny that they asked him to sign such a thing. Whether it's standard or not is not relevant to me. They asked him to sign a non-disparagement as part of a routine thing. He turned down the money that he could have gotten to do so.
Well, the way it's been presented is the Dolphins asked him to do this so they could quiet him. And I'm thinking...
Which is true.
But that goes for any line of... To me, if you're a contract employee, that goes for any line of work.
Sure. But he had more to be quiet about.
Did you guys watch the interview on
I did not.
Sports?
I've only read the story from CBS Sports.
I recorded it and watched it. Here's my just honest opinion on these Brian Flores interviews. He's not helping himself doing these interviews. He does not come across... He
stutters too much in the transcripts.
Does not come across as someone who is a reliable narrator of this. That's probably the nicest way I can say it and the best way I can say it. His lawyers don't come across overly well in this. I'll give you an example. The lawyers, praised Brian Flores for saying that, this is clearly not about money for him. This is about opportunities for others and paving a way and being a trailblazer. Well, okay, are you not suing for money? Then is that what you're wanting? Is this not, you're not going to get paid in this lawsuit? Like, it's my understanding that it's going to be a payment.
Well, you can't just sue for principal, can you?
Well,
there has to be a financial element to the lawsuit.
You can't say that. Like, if you wanted to come out and expose all these wrongs, you could without suing. You don't have to sue for damages. You could write a book. You could go on TV and talk about your experience. You could do the media tour and do all that. We'd still know about it. The league would still have to react. You don't have to sue for money.
He wants there to be repercussions.
Well, again, I said earlier, we're all hypocrites. But you can't go up there and say it's not about money while you're suing the NFL for a lot of money. Do you not see the disconnect there?
Yeah, I completely understand with what you're saying.
So
it's coming from the attorney saying that.
Yes, that was not Flores. That was his attorney. Now, his attorney's office put this out last night and said, in response to the Dolphins calling Brian Flores' assertion of an NDA categorically false, below are screenshots, receipts for the draft agreement and payment termination notice. And on this, it has... an NDA that you would see that's standard. So Armando Salguero of Outkick down in Miami, covers the team, had this to say about that. And I think this is an interesting distinction between the claim and what happened. Armando says, all of this is fine, but what the Dolphins are asserting, based on my understanding, is that Stephen Ross himself did not bring up the NDA, counter to what Brian Flores apparently affirms to Bryant Gumbel.
See, I don't think that matters. These people are acting on Stephen Ross's authority. If Stephen Ross's lawyer is doing it, Stephen Ross is doing it.
I think it's an important distinction, Paul. If you are accusing an individual owner of personally bribing you or trying to bribe you money, I think it's important when Bryant Gumbel says, Stephen Ross asked you to sign this. And he says yes.
Because he's going to pay you to lose.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want you to say
I do think there's a difference there, and I think a court of law would distinguish between that difference too. If it's the team's legal department giving a standard NDA, here's what you have to sign to get your settlement, that everyone signs if you're going to get paid for the rest of your contract, I think that's different. Now, doesn't change the fact the guy didn't sign it and didn't get paid, right? Like, there is something to that. He could have taken 2 years' salary. They said it was 2 years' salary, so I'm assuming that's around $9 million. What, 4.5 he's probably making?
Maybe.
That he left on the table?
Maybe 3.
So
if so, he's making more than the Braves.
Again, on the side of Brian Flores, the guy did pass up a lot of money by not signing that and filing this lawsuit. Money he would have gotten immediately. So there is something to that.
I don't know about the legality of it. To me, that lawyer's doing exactly what Stephen Ross tells him to do. Stephen Ross is a lawyer, I think, also, if I'm not mistaken. But he's in communication with his guy, and they've got a strategy going in there, just like in any settlement.
Well,
Stephen Ross doesn't have to be in the room to be asking the guy to shut his mouth.
I mean, the Dolphins look so stupid if there are texts or emails or anything out there, right?
I think you just go into defense mode.
But you go into silence mode.